listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New York City After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New York City After Show.
Woo. I don't want to be a tiger.
Pick me.
You don't be like the, 6 teachers.
Throwing their bras on.
Yeah, we're all like.
We've got some retro Elvis playing right now. We just saw season 6, episode 6, unhappy anniversary of Real Housewives of New York. My name is Lyndsey Wegner, and tonight I am joined by
Stephanie McGrath, guys.
And Courtney Henderson.
We are jamming out to a little Teddy Bear by Elvis because Kristen's got a major, major crush.
Yes.
Almost left her hubby for him before they were married.
Fake Elvis even.
That girl goes for anything. Anybody that resembles Elvis. No, not anything. But she is completely obsessed with him.
An infatuation with Elvis. Hey, I think we all can go into a period of time where I think everyone can find an Elvis that they would go after. I would go after the really skinny, young Elvis.
I was a Johnny Cash girl myself. Not an Elvis girl.
Not at all.
Nope.
How about you, Steph?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Elvis fan. I went to Graceland and did all that, but I just,
I'm not saying I'm like a huge fan of his, but there's a period of time where I could go, okay, yeah, that Elvis. If I lived in that time period right now,
Elvis.
I'm sure if I looked at the Elvises, over the years, I could pick one that would do me just fine. Suit me just fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Slip.
All right, then. On that note,
let's jump into the episode right away with a little jewelry launch we had with Heather, and she and her son were the muse of the jewelry line. And, we had a couple people there supporting her, including Jacques with Luann. It was nice to see them together. We obviously saw last week that they were at Jacques' house in the Hamptons for the parties that were going on all up there with Luann and everybody. And nice to see a little bit of calmed down, no drama to start off the episode. Since we've been seeing so much of that lately, and I think we all get a little bit, we want to take a step back.
They couldn't continue on as of what we started with last week.
Yes.
That was epic. Now let's,
and we've got Ramona back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a whole new set of drama that's going to come up because of Ramona. So what did you think, Steph, about the jewelry launch and the party?
I think I agree with you. It was all very civilized. It was nice. Carole was making a few comments about her sex and death, and that is one thing that I think we all bring up. This entire episode, though, there was an undertone of sexual connotation all throughout it. We spoke lots about, which I know we'll get to, but there was lots of bring back to the topic to sex and all sorts of foreplays and stuff. So she was just talking about her book and sex and death, and that started it. But to be honest, I think with Ramona coming back, flying back in, I was a little bit taken straight away the moment she pounced on Heather she was like, hey, great to see you, I'm back, and gives her the rundown, what's happened, and was straight onto her about the uninviting, taking it all back to her own personal experience that she had last season where she wasn't invited to London on the girls' trip. And I think she's just like, yes, I can bring that back up because I'm still not happy with it.
So you think there's still beef between Heather and Ramona, and it's going to kind of rear up, and that they haven't completely cleared off what happened from last season and her not being invited to London?
Oh, I think she's going to make a point that it's going to come back up. Ramona, she does let things slide.
She's already made a point we'll just have to see if that comes back up.
Yeah.
Well, we saw too that obviously Aviva wasn't invited to the jewelry launch, and we heard that she was never invited to the anniversary party. Heather had never invited her, correct, or was she disinvited?
I think
She was disinvited.
Disinvited, so
because
she-
that was I think that was her whole thing, though.
Oh, I thought
it
she
not?
was. No, I thought she was not invited because when they met, she told her about the party as though
Okay.
Aviva like didn't know. At least that was my take in their meeting later in the episode.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure on that,
So,
guys.
guys,
Sorry.
definitely comment down below. Let us know. We're not going to go out there and make a bold statement if we're incorrect. I'm sure you guys have picked it up, and please do.
Let us know. But yeah, we saw that obviously Ramona is jumping in right away and getting in everyone's business. And I had written down that I wouldn't want drama at the party either. If that was me, I wouldn't start it off by having somebody there that was going to create some issue. But we can obviously get
You're
more
talking
into
about
that.
the
anniversary party. But we can
Well,
obviously get more into that.
I
but-
mean, and just since we're kind of talking about Ramona, I was so shocked that she made such a point about this trip being relaxing and this break, and we see some of the photos from the trip, and I've been to South Africa on a safari as well, and it just totally instantly took me back and reminded me of like how much I love it. And the thing, the takeaway, which I think she kind of brought the spirit of, is that being rich in your life doesn't have to have anything to do with money, because the people there and the experiences there are so rich, yet those people have nothing. And yet she comes right back, and the first thing she does is like stir the pot, as they, I'll put it in their words.
Which is so contradictory because of herself, because you see her a little bit later in the episode, and she is talking about, I'm the peacemaker. And even Sonia's like, what do you think you are, the Dalai Lama? Like, she goes to South Africa, she comes back, she's like, everybody friends, That is not Ramona. She's never been the peacemaker, and as we see towards the end, she isn't the peacemaker. So South Africa, yep, what she experienced.
New York minute, that lasted.
Yes.
That was gone. And I knew that. We all saw that.
We've known Ramona for 6 seasons.
Yep.
No one's going to say she's the peacemaker. Now, maybe you come back with a renewed sense of enlightenment, so you're feeling a little bit more calm and reserved and relaxed. That still doesn't make you the peacemaker, though.
No.
And she wasn't in that episode. I mean, she made an attempt, but if you can
It
call
was
it
actually
that.
vicious. It was a backhanded,
I mean, they're
attempt,
shopping
if that's
when
what
she
they're
makes the
called.
phone call.
puts
pot stirrer.
both the girls on the spot. They didn't want to talk to her, so she's like, I'm going to call up and you can force it, and we're going to put her on speaker so everyone can hear.
Which, do y'all ever talk to your girlfriends on speaker with each other? Like, in groups? I don't.
No.
Do you?
I mean, if it's like trying to coordinate things, and sometimes it's just easy, just put her on speaker.
But just the two of you talking, not like a bunch of people all talking to somebody on speaker. Like, I don't ever do that, especially in a store in public.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what I mean.
I certainly wouldn't call up a girlfriend and say, hey, I know you guys aren't getting along. I'm here with my girlfriend right now. Talk to her.
This is like middle school style.
Here you go. I mean, if I was the person on the other line, I'd be like, I'll call you back later. Goodbye. And I would hang up because I'd be like, I'm not getting into this with you being the middleman.
Yeah.
Isn't the peacemaker's job, though, to sort of mediate both sides of the party when she's literally the two worst things that both of the parties wanted to do? And she's like, all right, both of you are going to do it.
But you can't create that. They have to agree on that, and then you need to be there to
Exactly.
mediate.
You're not there in
You're not
forcing
starting
your
the whole
own-
thing.
Well, and I was proud of Heather. I think she took the phone call and kind of being blindsided like that very well. They both did very well.
Yeah.
I mean, and she went back to the girls. She was with Kristen and Carole, and kind of decided for the good of the group, not really for herself. Didn't look like she was super ready on her own, but for the good of the group, she would at least sit down with her and have the meeting, which I thought was
Awesome.
considering what we saw that she's capable of in defending something that she believes in and someone that she loves.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty big of her. I was surprised
Agreed.
that was Heather's reaction to Ramona doing that to her and Aviva.
Yeah, because we've seen Heather. Heather's got attitude. That girl, we know she's not standing.
push.
This season in particular, she's not. So yeah, I was surprised. I thought she would have said, no, actually, I'm not going to do it. No, thank you.
I was very
Yeah.
impressed with Heather as well for agreeing to that, and even hearing Aviva say, well, I'm afraid of her, and Heather be like, you're afraid of me?
Yeah.
Again, but that comment, does that not reinforce her childish behaviour?
Of
I'm
course.
afraid of you.
Come on.
So anyway, we do see Carole and Kristen's modeling for Heather's line, Yummy Tummy. And apparently they've known each other for a while. She's modeled with them before, which is great to kind of see that relationship developing. And
a positive note for Heather, she can actually work with friends in a business sense and it comes off. Just talking back to the toaster issue. So, and everyone says never mix girlfriends in business. And we've seen in the other Housewives franchise, it tends to go badly, but
it is possible.
This is going well.
And this is a relationship, like we said, that's been going on for a while now. So it's not something brand new, but this is their first time. They've clearly worked together in the past.
Yeah.
So it does prove that, yes, friends can work together.
Yes.
So we see them working together on this project, and we also see, you know, Ramona shopping for Avery, Aviva's shopping for her new house, and they're joined by Sonia, all three of them together. And I was a little bit thrown off because at the beginning of the episode, we saw that they had reminded Ramona that Aviva had said Sonia was on a downward spiral like Anna Nicole Smith. Now here Sonia and Aviva are hanging out, and I'll guarantee you that Sonia has no idea that Aviva has said this about her.
Nope.
No. This episode coming out may be the first time she's seeing that was ever said.
I'm not liking that.
No?
I'm not liking that because I felt like those three girls were definitely on one side together, and Sonia is clearly with Aviva. We see later on in the episode. We'll get more on that later. But she's clearly, like, siding a little bit more with Ramona, obviously, because they've been friends, but Aviva, without knowing this bit of information that is important to know. And like you mentioned last week, Steph, she's saying how Sonia kind of plays the middle ground with every person. And I think we're going to see a break in that relationship.
Yep.
Because she definitely picked sides tonight.
Yep.
Sonia did.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
So the one that, as Ashley was commenting last week and stuff, seems to be friends with everyone, Airy, she's not.
No,
I've
she's
never
not.
thought she has been, and yeah, we clearly see she's not.
Which, by the way...
But she'll change like that at a drop of a hat, you know? I predict her, if she then takes sides, it'll be a couple episodes, then she's friends with everyone, wants to make up.
Well, it's interesting, too, because I felt like Sonia in this episode, this was the most grown up and kind of serious I feel like we've seen her this season at least. I mean, the outfits that she wore and kind of the content. I mean, with all the sex talk in this episode, Sonia wasn't the
Really a
one
part
in
of
it
it.
at all. She wasn't the footloose fancy free that I've kind of loved so far
Yeah.
this season. That we know she is,
Sure.
and you know that's kind of who she is. I think at her core a little bit.
Yeah,
So it's this new side of Sonia.
a quieter
Mature,
side.
yeah.
A mature side of Sonia. Absolutely.
More like Countess.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So our next scene is Kristen and Carole doing a tasting with Josh, Heather's hubby, planning for her anniversary gift. Super cute, but I can't believe they were doing a caviar tasting.
The thing that I thought was so funny was I kept thinking, because Kristen said something about how nice it is that he invited her friends to the tasting. I thought that the tasting was the anniversary gift, and so I kept waiting for Heather to show up because they're like, does she know about this? So I thought he was just meeting her for lunch, and they were going to be there and surprise, and it was like having a girlfriend. And so I kept like waiting for Heather to walk in, and then I realized, no, he was having them help pick a caviar to give her at the party. I just didn't think that was super clear. But the conversation at this lunch or tasting, what do you guys think about that?
Now, we spoke about in the ad breaks and stuff during it. There's something that's been in some of the other franchises with the Housewives that over the years we've sort of noticed from the different seasons that it's always been more of the Orange County and then now the Beverly Hills Housewives. They do a lot of sexual innuendo and they talk about threesomes and girl, and you do see the girls kissing. There was something that I've always really liked about the Real Housewives of New York is that they've never gone that way. It's just been irrelevant. They just haven't felt the need to stage in that, you know.
I don't think it's
action.
in their culture. I'll say like it's not a New Yorker thing.
It's
I
not
know.
a New Yorker thing, and they didn't like. And there's something about I don't like it. Them adding and talk. You know, they did the whole talk about the threesomes and. It was so staged with the, you know, the server was standing there, of course, listening to the whole conversation. Hold it. So it would be, you know, girl and no, I'd have my way. And then it was, you know, very detailed. And he, of course, is standing there. Just one moment. We'll finish up our conversation. It was tacky.
I didn't like
I just think it's tacky. It's not them.
As loving and all of that Heather's husband is, I didn't like that he brought it up at all. Because obviously Carole and Kristen don't necessarily know that Heather said that to him year one in the relationship. So it was like his way of bringing it up to, you know, like see if they
To
would.
her girlfriends.
Yeah, like are you trying to get them to tell Heather like, hey, you should try to do that threesome? Or are you trying to get one of them to be like, oh, I'll do it. Like, well, I'll get it started with her and you can just join it. You know, like I just don't get what the purpose of bringing it up. And maybe that is sort of still a testament to these women because he brought it up.
Yeah, no, that is true.
I think a little bit of that is production as well.
Yeah.
Talking, obviously, anniversary. They're all talking about how if they've been together for a while, what are their sexual behaviors? Are they sleeping together on a regular basis? Is this something that doesn't happen? We hear with Kristen, she doesn't sleep with her husband when she's pregnant and right after and all this stuff. So I think they maybe prodded a little bit to get something. And then as soon as they get what they want, they push it right then and there so that they get, you know, more drama, more story.
Certainly, I think the editing in this episode, there was probably lots of conversations and topics that were covered in the various, whether it be the going out for the tasting or whether it was we see later on with the Beverly Hills housewife. Talked about a lot of other stuff, but they just want to focus, keep it on the sex and anniversary type of episode, so they're just going to show that.
Yeah, cut all the other stuff out.
Yeah. But I still thought that it was a really cute thing for him to do, to kind of plan this with her girlfriend so that they could be in on it. It just was a
Absolutely.
I think we got a good eye-opener to see John and meet him.
Yeah.
He seems like a real sweetheart.
they seem
We
like a
all
great,
were like,
strong couple.
yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see that someone else isn't a strong couple, but so yeah. Then that pushes us to that they talk about that there's going to be 25 people there, and that Aviva hasn't been invited, and why would she want to come at this point?
Yeah.
So our next scene, when we see Aviva and Heather getting together, it starts off rocky. It starts off
Well, I couldn't believe you're talking about when they go
when
meet?
And they decide to
Aviva
meet
and
for
Heather
drinks.
decide to
They
meet for
kissed
drinks.
on the cheek when they first walk in the room. I'm like,
Well.
how fake? I mean, come on. You sit down and within a few minutes you start talking about how you don't like each other. Why are you going and kissing on the cheek?
I thought that though perfectly describes the entire meeting and drinks. It was so back forth. If you weren't switched on and you missed the previous comment like, I don't like you, well, I don't like you either, to the next comment, all right, so we're good?
Do you care about me?
Do you care about me? Yes, I really care about you. It's like,
What's going on here?
what the hell?
Well, and I think, a question like, do you care about me is kind of a very general, of course, like human being to human being, woman to woman, you're not going to say, like, how can you not care about the fact that there's like another life in front of you? That's how I feel. It's just like, I don't care what you've done or who you are. To me, it's like, there's still another person. Like on some level, you have to have a care for that fact, even if you absolutely can't stand a single thing about their existence.
She's not, Aviva, she's not that silly, stupid. She's not going to come across the cameras and be, I have no care for you whatsoever.
Well, I think that was a little bit of a manipulative ploy on Aviva's part by saying, well, do you care about me? Because you're right. No person is going to go, no, I don't care about you at all. Yeah. You're obviously sitting down to meet for drinks for a reason, because you do care about the friendship. My issue with this whole situation was Aviva saying, you name call me, you do all this stuff, you yell and you swear at me. And then when she's like, do you want to know why I'm upset? Do you know? And she's prodding Heather, and Heather's like, no, I don't know. Why are you being so dramatic? And then she's like, you just called me a name. And she's like, no, I said you're acting a certain way.
Effing
dramatic. But we never hear why Aviva was mad.
Ever.
We don't even hear it. It never gets to it. And that's the point that Heather makes, is she's just so childish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always really liked Aviva, and especially after last week. I'm not going to lie, she's kind of, for me, making it really hard to really
be on her
root
side.
for her. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to pick sides, but and I don't have to. It's not like these are my friends that are like, pick a side, but I just sort of feel like I'm sort of being pulled away from. I'm feeling disconnected from her and kind of like not as invested in. I don't want to say her well-being, but just sort of like, if I'm gonna root for somebody, it's not gonna be her off the bat anymore, or right now at least.
Because she's not giving you anything to sympathize.
She's becoming, for me, rather annoying. It's though, like, as you were saying, she's childish, and some of these comments and things that she'd throw out there. Like, what was the whole baby analogy?
Didn't understand.
I was
that.
completely lost. I'll put it
I
this way.
totally
I was
got
lost
that.
from
You
the
got
very
it?
start.
Okay, you explain it to us then.
I felt, well, I think she was just trying to make the point that when something major happens, you can have a positive celebratory attitude towards it, or you can get into the nitty-gritty details of it. And the nitty-gritty details being, like, how did you give birth? Did you really do it on your own?
Or did you get a surrogate, or did somebody else?
Because she said C-section, or did you, like, I don't know if she was meaning it, like, as an easy route, or did you just, you know, get the medicine, have the doctor surgically take the baby out in a C-section, and, you know, but she was comparing nitty-gritty details of how did you go about having a baby,
But yet
like,
you're still
how did you go about writing a book?
Yeah.
Versus, oh my gosh, how old is your, or not how old is your baby? Duh, the baby was just born. But like what
What's
did you
his
name
name?
him? Like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much did he weigh? And or like what's your
Okay.
book's name? What's it
Yeah.
about? I think
Okay.
that was the comparison she was trying to make. Whether it fell on Heather or, you know, went over her head, I don't know. But that to me was what that was about.
In other words, she just wanted her to say, congratulations about the book, you know, and say a positive inquiry,
Yeah.
more about like, you know, fantastic. What's the name of the book? As opposed to then going, okay, you've written a book. So does it
Does it have a ghostwriter?
And
does it have a ghostwriter in here?
I agree with that. I feel like, I mean, not to go back into the whole fight between them and that
Bookgate.
conversation. It's one of those things where I'm just like, I think Carole absolutely could have been celebratory and excited for Aviva, regardless of any other fact when it comes to books. And I don't think that they had to have any conversation at all about the process that either of them take when they're writing a book.
Well,
That wasn't the point Aviva was trying to make.
Aviva did want to find out how Carole had written her book, and she asked if there was a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
So Aviva did want to know the details of it. I agree with you. I think that Carole should have just been, that's great, congratulations for you. I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, but then kind of Aviva, you know, once again, kind of prodded her
and
to go to a place.
I felt like in that she asked more innocently, like, you know, how did you do it? Like, did you use a ghostwriter? And then later we see it
But why do you need
doesn't
to
seem
ask that?
I would have said the same as you, but she already had that inside knowledge. She'd already heard.
no, I was
that
gonna
it was
say,
a
but we didn't
rumors.
know that when they met. We find out later
That she knew
she'd
all that.
Yeah,
heard,
so then
and
that
and
changes my perspective
Yeah,
of
exactly.
her and what
And
she was
I
asking.
agree.
Because you're like, oh, she's cunning. That's what I mean. She's getting annoying because I think she's playing this childish more and she's saying these things. She's smarter than what, and then she's got
She's
a lot-
manipulative.
She is. She's a lot manipulative than what comes across,
And
what we see.
I like that Heather was open and honest with her when she was like, what have I said? You know, when Aviva to Heather was like, what have I done to you? What have I said about you? She totally owned what she said about Ramona and all of that. And Heather's like, I'm not going to wait in line. Like, I'm not just going to sit back and wait for my turn, because there are beautiful, fun-loving people that I could surround myself with instead.
And you don't need to be one of them. You don't. That's what she said. You don't need to hang out with me. We don't need to be friends.
Right.
She's really real, isn't she?
She
I'm really
is.
liking the Heather. I mean,
This
she
season?
can lose
She
some of
can
the
take-
constant
yes,
profanity. She doesn't.
yes.
I know she hanged out with P. Diddy,
Diddy.
and we talk about, but she doesn't need all that gangster stuff.
I
with
agree.
her.
She can take it
But
down a notch.
I'm liking this. I'm really liking her because she's not doing these manipulative little like the other three blondes. The blondes versus the brunettes.
The brunettes, hey.
Well, you know what team we're on.
Hey.
No, I definitely agree with that. Now I'm going to ask your opinion, and I want the viewers' opinions on this too. So we see Heather saying that she's going to talk to John about their party the next day or whatever, and she'll get back to her and let her know about the invitation. And Aviva agrees and goes, thank you, I appreciate that.
Think about it. Let
Yes.
me know.
Now, in my
She's
opinion,
like, please invite me, please. Yeah.
I think it's great that Heather said she was going to do this. If I was Aviva and we had just had all this drama for the first couple weeks, and she says this to me, as Aviva, I would have said, I appreciate that. I don't expect that at all. Thank you. I think you guys should enjoy the party, and when we're on better terms, I would love to be there to support you. I think that would have been such a more mature, fair response.
I disagree with that part of it. I definitely think that Aviva handled it well, just being like, that's up to you. Like, I'll leave it to you.
Yes.
The reaction to the decision that Heather made is what I agree with you on, as far as I don't think that Aviva handled finding out she wasn't going to be invited after all, that they were going to need to take the time like let this kind of cool off a little bit. I don't think that she handled that well. I think I don't think she needed to say anything in that dinner or drinks.
There shouldn't have been any question about it. She should have just understood.
And knowing that she might not say yes, come, or her husband may say, you know what? Because I mean, it may not have even been up to Heather. Her husband may have said, you know what, babe, like I love you. This is our night. And I want to make sure it stays that way. So, like, please just,
I know
for
you're
me,
trying to do the right thing, but to be honest, I
mean, it may not have even been up to Heather at all.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't see that part of, the decision making. Because it's an anniversary party. It means two people who love each other that work together to make a relationship work.
Surrounded by their loving friends.
Yes.
Stephanie, what do you think?
I don't know if I actually agree with the text, though. I think she should have made. I think she should have made a decision that night. There, possibly
without talking to her husband.
Without talking to her husband.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think she should have called.
She should have. Yeah, I didn't like that last minute. Sorry, and I understand she was, with business or whatever, and then text. But you're right. There's just something. I'm just not a big fan of doing messages like that. It's really weak. Yeah. And stand up if you're going to say it. And she does stand up, so that was surprising.
You brought up her career because she was at work on a conference call when she decides to send this text, which reminds me that Aviva made a comment, working mothers are not as important as career moms. Like, no way, because that was sort of the way that she was made to feel, or she chose to feel based on what Heather said.
She throws out the Heather and a few of the other, Carole also threw it out as, you've never had a job.
And I just, for me, it was one of those like, whoa, girl, this is a very controversial topic, and you're pitting women against each other, kind of making another comment that like people have to choose sides, because I don't know. What do you guys think as far as like career moms? You know what I mean? That's kind of like a tough, and none of us are moms.
No,
so
but we have
neither is Carole.
We obviously have our mothers to know kind of what they did, and as growing up, I had babysitters because my mom was at work, or if she was at work, then I was in high school. I was doing extracurricular activities, so I was doing cheerleading. I was involved in theater to keep myself busy for the couple hours so that my mom wouldn't have to have a babysitter or whatever it was. I mean, I was babysitting myself and my brother by the time I was 12. But before that, then I would just be at school doing basketball practice or something, and my brother the same thing. So I think my mom killed it and was amazing, working and being a great mom. She was available when I needed her to be there, my dad too, but the house was always clean. We always had dinner on the table. She worked really, really hard. And I'm not saying that a mom who doesn't have a career outside of the home doesn't work hard. I just know my mom, like, killed it. And I can 100% say that she did a great job.
For moms.
I love you, Mommy.
And
I love you.
It's funny because
there shouldn't be that distinction. That's unfortunately, it still is there. Mothers these days, it's now, okay, you can't, it's really seen, and still in a lot of light, it's negative to be a stay-at-home mum because you have to be a working mum and you have to do it all.
See, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom my whole life. She's only, as she's now become an empty nester, started to work and kind of re-explore her own hobbies and things, because she did spend the first, 25 years of my life, because I'm the oldest, putting us first, and her life revolved around getting us to all of our extracurricular activities and all of the home things and helping support my dad, as far as having a clean home and all of the different things. And,
of course.
And I don't think it's fair to say that she didn't work hard. Not that you guys did, and not that Heather said that stay-at-home moms don't work hard. It's just a different sort of life.
It's a different job, but unfortunately it's not classified because you don't make an income.
Right.
You can't write it, that it's not a job.
Stay-at-home moms usually don't get appreciated for all the work that they do.
No, they don't.
So I think that it is good that, Heather didn't necessarily step on her toes by saying, well, you didn't work hard.
Right.
But it is, I can understand the debate between the two. What are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was then interesting. Heather sits at that position where she is a mum and also is still full-time career. Then, so you're kind of like, oh, you're doing it. You're doing a great job, girl. Like, you really are. I can't necessarily disagree with your comments because you're juggling both, and I could see your point because you work that hard. Then when you see other women who don't get a job, and if they are just a mum and then think, go get a job as well, you can do it. But then to get chimes in then from Carole and stuff, that's quite unfair.
Exactly, because Carole has nothing to base it on.
You know,
But I think across the board, this kind of proves, in my opinion at least, that it's kind of up to us, woman to woman, to make the distinction and decision for ourselves.
And support.
You know, the life that we want. And I think that if Aviva wants to be a stay-at-home mom and that's important to her, and that her kids grow up with a mom in the home, go for it. If you're Heather or Kristen or any of the other working
And you
want
to work too?
Yeah, and you can
Go
find
for
a
it.
balance to give your kids and your family the support and love that they still need. And you can work as well, go for it. And if you're Carole and you don't choose the family life, go for it. You know, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that's kind of up to the woman. And I feel like the tragedy is when a woman, in any case, ends up doing one of those paths that she doesn't want. You
And
know what I
then
mean? She's forced.
gets resentful
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
overall, I think time and time again, we see it so commonly in society. Women bring each other down. I mean, it's hard enough, girls. We know the glass ceiling's there thanks to the guys. So stop bringing each other down. Support each other more. And if they choose whatever lifestyle they choose with raising their children, support it.
Well said,
Yeah.
ladies.
I think that's a
Well said.
There we go. We're off on a
Go
perfect
us.
here.
segue into
We're all going to be great moms.
into the
Avery
the
going to
lunch.
college.
Oh, well, that too.
Let's quick talk, just touch on Avery
On the
leaving
children.
for college and the fact that she said she would rather work with her dad than Ramona. I think we can all understand why Ramona's a little bit overbearing and freaking out about this, causing Avery added stress.
Yeah.
When you're going to college, you're already stressed thinking about leaving your friends and all that other stuff. I can understand her wanting to be with her dad for this time.
I'm a daddy's girl, so I agree with that. I found that whole entire conversation somewhat annoying. I mean, of course moms are sad when their kids go to college. Of course kids are having growing pains. And I felt like, kind of like you were saying about with the waiter at the caviar tasting, it was so kind of staged. And I kind of felt like this is a very unnatural way to have this conversation. My mom and I never really talked about, when I went to college, about how hard it's going to be and missing each other. I found out weeks later that, you know, the day that I left, she sat at a neighbor's house and cried all day. You know, she handled it on her own, and it wasn't my dad in her face, like, rubbing it in how much she's going to miss me.
Oh, my parents did that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
They were freaking out. I think my mom said she
And
cried
they
the whole way
talked about
home.
it?
Oh yeah.
To you before you left?
Oh yeah. When I came to California, they were like crying weeks before, saying, "I don't know, we're gonna be able to leave you in California. What are we gonna do without you?" Weeks before I'm going, and I'm like, "We are going. We are driving. We're not stopping anywhere. I know you guys want to go to Las Vegas. 15 minutes. Let's go. We got to get there. We got time." Like I was like. You know, but
All right.
I heard it from them for weeks and for days before I was leaving about how sad they were going to be. But I've got a super duper extremely close relationship with my mom too, where I talk to her almost every day.
Yeah.
And we do share a lot of that like emotional like stuff. Like if I'm upset, I can cry on the phone with her and I can tell her that I miss her, and she has no problem saying that she misses me and stuff like
Right.
that. And I'm sure your family's like that too.
Yeah.
But they were very, very like, this is how we feel. We're really sad that you're not here. And just open and honest about it, which probably isn't good for a kid going, because then that makes you feel
Almost bad for trying to leave and,
yes.
like, go out on your own?
I think the positive, though, of that section in the episode, I'd have to say, though, I really enjoyed, because you forget the young Avery, she has grown up on our screens, just like all those childhood, but she has, and when they did those flashbacks, you're like, that's right, that was
She's a
season 1,
baby.
episode, and I thought it was really, I don't know.
I
it was
did- I liked that.
Homely,
That's true.
nice feeling to see, and we're like, actually, I feel like I'm a part of her. She is growing up. Maybe I should be sad too, because I've watched her grown up as well. And look at that. So
Oh, that's cute.
a nice
And so
I found.
maybe they actually had that conversation and did some of that just for us as viewers.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much
see her grow
about,
up.
and to kind of remember and kind of like acknowledge like she's grown up on screen
going to
with the
college,
show.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the lunch, so I'm going to let you go in on that about Brandi, Yolanda, Courtney, Kristen, and Carole at lunch.
I mean, again, with the edits this episode, it's just one of those things where I'm really curious to see how it came up that they, like Kristen's bachelorette party, other than the fact that Brandi was there. Because it just kind of, that's the only thing we really kind of hear about, and the
Production.
sex and exactly. And it's one of those things where, yes, maybe it came up naturally at some point in the conversation, but to have it sort of be about them walking in and that kind of being like the conversation right
the only
away,
conversation
which
we
I
heard,
have
really.
to say, I love Kristen, but that girl is either she's early or like she has the worst luck with people being on time, because they sit down and the first thing she says is, "Where are our friends?" And it just reminds me of in the previous episode when she's waiting for date night for her husband. I mean, and time is a big important thing to her. And so as a friend or as a husband, if that's something that you know is important to somebody and you care about them, make it a point, if you're late to see everybody else, at least be on time for Kristen, for crying out loud.
I can relate with that.
Yes.
Because I am like pedantic. I always have to be on time or before time. I get anxiety if I'm not personally there. And then so many times in LA, as you know, traffic, I know, but lots of people are never on time. And yeah, I can understand it. It can really eat you up and be a big thing. Clearly, that's one of her soft spots.
Yes.
Exactly.
She would have hated me today.
It was nice to see, though, the relationship, knowing that Kristen and Brandi have been friends for a while and obviously celebrated her
and it was genuine.
Bachelorette party.
Did you not feel that was...
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
The cute pictures we saw of them together. And this is years
Photoshop
ago.
Yeah,
this is years ago
like,
when they look a little bit different. And and hearing that Yolanda and Carole have been friends because Carole was interested in David and then met Yolanda and loved her more.
I love that.
So cute.
Yeah.
What a great way to build
and
a
George
good friendship.
Clooney.
And dating George Clooney. We just found this out. That's
Carole.
That's not bad on the resume.
yeah.
We've got Lindsay Lohan's 30, whatever.
We've got to talk to Carole about that when she calls in again one of these days.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested to find out about her dating George Clooney. That's cute.
I don't think she's going to kiss and tell. She didn't kiss and tell to them. I don't think she's going to kiss and tell to us. But we'll ask her.
See. We shall see. And then obviously we heard a lot about Kristen talking about her husband and how she doesn't have sex with him when she's pregnant. And Yolanda's like, if you don't have sex with your husband, somebody else will.
You got to get a move on, girl. You got to get
Yolanda's always been about that, though. If you've watched the Beverly Hills show, you've seen her, that she believes that if you are not giving your husband attention, affection,
he will stray.
He will stray. She's very, very honest about that with all the housewives.
Yeah.
So that must be her kind of, I don't know if that's what happened between her and Muhammad.
So it's an insecurity, maybe?
I think Muhammad has been with...
when he's obviously with someone who's half of his age.
He loves that. Yeah.
But her telling that to Kristen, I don't necessarily think that that's true with everybody. I think that
I don't
your
either.
husband understands or
it's
communication. They obviously have a communication issue, but
for Kristen, she made light of it. She was like, "Well, he has been coming home late."
Exactly.
You know, like
she
that kind
loves
of a
that.
thing.
No, she's in particular this episode, doesn't she? She's thrown a lot of those tongue-in-cheek comments and little.
But it's always at the expense
humorous.
of her marriage.
Yeah,
that's
the one thing I'm kind of.
I don't like either.
I love her. She's a fast favorite for me. But it's just sort of like. I guess I don't get sort of like the motivation behind that.
Your husband's going to see it.
Unnecessary? Yeah, that comment didn't need.
She does. She makes these kind of low blow comments that they're going to watch the show together and see this, and that's going to make him uncomfortable. Also, his friends don't need to hear that. America doesn't need to hear those little like comments. That certainly makes you insecure, and I think that could cause you to feel definitely distant in the relationship, and that's where the straying
for me, I just think when you start talking about a relationship as important in your life as your marriage, and again, correct me if I'm wrong because I am not married. I'm in a long-term relationship, so I mean I have a little bit of experience with it, but you open up other people's opinions, and if you say something bad about the man that you're with, and then you come back and you're oohing and awing about something he did, your girlfriend's going to be the first one to remind you about how awful he was, kind of a thing. And it's just, that's between you two. You have to decide what you're willing to put up with in a relationship and what you're not, and what's good and what's bad, and go see somebody and talk to somebody about it together or on your own if you need to kind of get that out and you need a second opinion. Go to a professional. That's how I feel.
Which brings us to... the drawing of lines, which we saw today. We see a distinct separation between the two groups of ladies, Sonia, Aviva, and Ramona being on one side when Aviva was disinvited from the party and was told she wasn't going to be able to come. And Aviva was clearly upset about this. And I think we all agree that she had really no reason to be upset, considering the situation, what's been going on. But I want to know your opinion about Ramona or Sonia deciding not to go. Wait, was it Ramona deciding?
Sonia first.
Sonia decided not to
sick.
go.
She just
And then,
ill.
so Ramona chimed in and said, well, then I'm not going to go either. What do you ladies think about that?
Well, I think one thing particular, though, that those two girls, they both decided not to go, but I definitely think all of our viewers and all of our fans out there watching that you do need to decide to download our iTunes. That was a bit catchy.
Yes.
I know, a bit catchy. But guys, download our iTunes, rate us top 5 as well. Go and comment, like all the other on AfterBuzz TV, all the other after shows. We really, we love the fact we've been up in the top 10 downloading, and it's really been great. So keep it up, guys. Don't forget, and let all your friends know. Some people still, we've got the AfterBuzz app that you can now download on your phone. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yes.
View them all straight away. Sitting in class, maybe don't do that. You should be in class, on the bus, wherever you go, and it's really efficient and easy. But back on that.
So, what do you think about the ladies deciding not to go?
I think Sonia deciding not to go was genuine. I think that it really was one of those things where she was kind of, I'll call it pulling a Kristen, as far as like kind of wanting to like not be involved. And I don't think it was malicious. It was like, I can't handle this. Whoa, and I think had Ramona not then immediately had such a strong reaction and like jumped on that bandwagon, because Sonia wasn't like, she wasn't going on and on about, she wasn't campaigning.
She didn't make it personal.
She wasn't campaigning.
She didn't say, personally,
Yeah.
I completely she didn't use the term, like Heather, she just said, I feel sick about this whole thing that's going on.
She wasn't campaigning.
Heather's now really annoying me.
She wasn't campaigning for Ramona to not go. She was just like, I'm not going to go. It was nothing else. It was just, I'm not going to go. And I felt like, honestly, had Ramona been like, sorry, girl, or, not even really addressed it, I feel like Sonia probably would have ended up going. And it would have been like
I think so too.
No drama kind of a thing. And because Aviva, she just was like, oh, well, I'm not invited, because she got the text. And she was upset, but she wasn't, I don't think, making that big of a deal of it. Again,
until the girls
it was
made
Ramona.
A bigger...
No, it was Ramona. I don't even think it was Sonia. I think it was Ramona, and it goes just straight back to the beginning of the episode. It's like full circle.
Oh, I think Sonia really kick-started it all. She was a bit dramatic. Like, you don't feel that ill. I mean, it was a bit over the top.
Considering she's been on Carole's side, she's been on everyone's side. So she can't really
She's been on everyone's side.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
But we see everybody arriving. Kristen, by the way, my favorite outfit of the night. Loved her pants and like top.
Absolutely.
And the way that she
Awesome.
wore the top, as opposed to, I'm also hosting Lyndsey Lohan, who never wears a bra. Now, I know women, and you don't always have to wear a bra, that's fine. But that girl, she looked fabulous in that top. And that's
Absolutely.
a hard top to wear
Yep.
like
Yes.
that. She's
Loved
a
it.
model, but yeah, she looks fabulous.
Her outfit was great. I think it was definitely sad to see them fighting, but I think in every episode we've seen the tension between two of them. I think that's also editing. We all know how that can kind of come into play, but she definitely has an issue with time and with people being on time. And that was like a major fight to have right before the party, because they came to the building in that middle of that fight.
Yeah, they were walking on the streets of New York. They had the doorman, kind of. But again, I don't think that was staged. I was going to say that.
No, I don't think that was staged
seemed
at all.
really
That was
real.
honest.
Yep.
Absolutely, because when she comes in, she has to kind of vent to the girls about it, which I think sometimes helps. Okay, let's get it out, let's get it over with, so that we can go and enjoy the party. Because I think from that moment on, then they were able to, for the most part, enjoy the rest of the party. And obviously, Luann's there. She's gotten the text from Sonia and Ramona saying that they're not going to be coming to the party. So it's her responsibility to tell Heather, which is ridiculous.
Unfair.
She's a countess, no. They probably thought, yes, you're the type of lady that would do that.
She's certainly the type of person that can at least do it in the proper way.
In
I
the
give her
etiquette,
props for being able to do it. And in all honesty, aside from Heather kind of going off on Ramona about her being a pot stirrer and all that stuff, I think she handled it really well. And there was no drama. They all let it go and had a great time. Now, we can definitely get more into it on YouTube. We've kind of got to finish up really quickly. But please let us know your comments on YouTube, what you thought about that and how Heather handled it. If you think that Ramona really is the problem here, I think that we can all agree.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the first time that Kristen kind of picked a side, because we see that at the party. That, I mean, there's no drama there because they're all on the same side. But we see with the coming up episode.
Predictions,
yeah.
That
Kristen and Ramona are going to have some drama.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, Courtney, I'm going to let you jump in on that one right away then.
I'll just going right back onto Kristen. I think that she gets involved. I think she's sucked in now, and I think it's just one of those things where we're gonna see her get into her first kind of battle with the girls, because I think once she's kind of the victim of an attack, or, you know, kind of the one that they're calling out, which we kind of see Aviva in front of the kids swear at her, I think Kristen's going to stand up for herself. And so I think this is going to be sort of like a Real Housewife initiation for Kristen.
There you go. Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think she's got to be involved now in some battle, and they're going to bring her in regardless if she likes it or not. So, yep, she's in the drama. They look like they absolutely pull her apart next week. Or test her. She's a strong girl. I think she'll certainly stand up. It looks very emotional and very real what's going on with Heather and her son.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that's going to be, I think, certainly touching. Playing on a few heartstrings there. Definitely next week.
Agreed. I think that Ramona coming back from South Africa is going to change the whole dynamic of the group, because we really haven't had her in a group setting since episode 1. So now, when all this drama has been centering around Carole and Aviva, and then Aviva and Heather, Ramona's going to jump into the middle of it. She's going to get into drama and beef with Kristen. And we also see her getting into something with Sonia. I'm definitely excited to see what happens. We had, Sonia call in a couple weeks ago saying that her and Heather are great, and that her and Ramona are also great. So we obviously know that this isn't going to break them up or anything. But it'll be good to see her kind of take a different stance.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, where can we find both of you? Courtney.
I am on Instagram and Twitter at COUHEN.
And guys, you can find me on Twitter at host McGrath, that's MCGRATH, and on YouTube at Stephanie McGrath Host.
And you guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lyndsey Wegner, and lyndsey-wegner.blogspot.com for my blog. And if you're in Los Angeles and want to come see The Wizard of Oz, I am playing the Wicked Witch all weekend long. My cackle is ready and raring for you to hear it. Tickets are at creatingarts.org or goldstar.com for half off, or feel free to check out one of my other websites or whatever and get all the details. Thank you so much for watching. Ashley will be back with us next week. She's sad to not be here, but she'll be back next week, and we look forward to seeing you then.
See you guys.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.